Good evening, all the students. I am Professor Utkarsh Nigam, Civil Engineering Department, LD College of Engineering, Ahmedabad. Today, we shall discuss about the module number 2 of Basics of Civil Engineering BCE. What the subject has been introduced in the first year by the Gujarat Technological University. We shall go through the aspects of that module number 2. First of all, let me tell you about the brief outline of this module number 2, that is about the building planning and the town planning. The portions of the building planning has been covered by me in the classroom course itself, and we have gone through the different exercises of the module number 2, that is the portion of the building planning. And now we shall cover the town planning with this video, and in this video I shall be able to clarify all the doubts and details and the different aspects of the town planning. As we all know, since the ancient times, since the Indus Valley civilization, town planning has its own importance. The infrastructural development in a city, or whether it is referred to as urban city planning or urban planning or town planning, the term which is used as a synonyms in various aspects. So this town planning we need to understand in the detail. This subject has been offered in the first year as a common subject between all the branches, in which we deals with the different civil engineering projects, different domain of the civil engineering. And basically this town planning, we need to understand about the zoning, about the different elements of the town planning, why the town planning is important, and what are the advantages and disadvantages of the town planning, that we shall discuss in the brief. Before proceeding towards the PowerPoint presentation, it is a request to you to stay healthy, stay safe at your home, and don't stop to follow the practice of self quarantine. And now let's proceed towards the PowerPoint presentation. Thank you. Let's proceed with this PowerPoint presentation of the module number 2, town planning. The subject basic civil engineering, which has been introduced by the GTU in the first year, and the content which has been taken on the town planning is inspired from the subject which is offered by GTU in the third semester, building and town planning in the civil engineering, and also in the part-time diploma to degree course PDDC in the semester second. So we shall go through this outline, such as the GTU teaching scheme, GTU syllabus description, course outcome details, and then BC module 2, the remaining portions of the town planning, which we will go through in this PPT. The building planning has already been covered in the classroom course. We have discussed the different type of buildings, different type of principles of building, and we have also gone through the exercise of preparing the plans, line plan, diagram, etc. But in this video, we shall dedicate ourselves to study only the town planning and its principles. This is the scheme of the GTU-BC, that is in the semester second, which is being offered currently. Otherwise, the subject is offered in the first year. The teaching scheme is that 3 lectures shall be arranged, and 2 hours practical will be there with the total credit of the 4. So as an overall, the GTU exam of 70 marks will be conducted, and a mid-semester examination of 30 marks will be conducted, and the practical shall also be there. The diversion of practical marks is 30 plus 20, and as an overall 150 marks is the total score which is student maximum score of this particular subject. This is the GTU syllabus, which has a wide range of civil engineering domain being included in this subject, basic civil engineering, in which particularly this module number 2, that is introduction to the building and town planning, means building planning and the town planning, has been in my covering domain, and I shall in this video try to complete the town planning and its aspects in a very much detail. These are the course outcomes of the particular subject in the BC, and you can see the CO number 2, the course outcome number 2, that the student will be able to, after the end of the course, the student will be able to interpret various aspects of the building and the town planning. And the weightage of this particular course outcome is 30%. So it is very much important to go through the town planning. So these are the content of my portion from the module number 2, that is the introduction to building and town planning, that has already been covered, but the content has been given, such as principles of town planning, necessity of town planning, origin of town, growth of town, land use, principles and objects of zoning, advantages of zoning, low cost housing, prevention of slum, etc. So these are the content draft from my portion that I will cover in the video. So this is the module number 2, which is the remaining portions of the town planning that we will try to cover later. As I told that town planning has its own importance since the ancient times. Since the Indus Valley civilization, the town planning has been its extreme importance. And what we understand by the town planning, it is the planning and design of all the buildings, roads, parks in a place in order to make them attractive and convenient for the people who live there. It is the comprehensive planning of the physical and social development of a town, including the construction of facilities. Urban planning is also the term which is used. Regional planning is also the terms which is used. City planning, rural planning and development. These are also the terms which are used. So urban planning is a technical and political process concerned with the development and design of land use and the built environment, including air, water and the infrastructure passing into and out the urban areas, such as transportation, communications and distribution networks. Urban planning deals with the physical layout of the human settlements. Urban planning is also referred as urban and regional planning or town planning or city planning or rural planning or urban development or some combination in various areas worldwide. Means there is not a particular term which is used for this purpose, but as it is in our syllabus, the town planning term has been used, predominantly concerned with the planning of settlements and communities. Town planning is also responsible for the planning and development of water use and resources, rural and agricultural land, parks and conserving areas of the natural environmental significance. Practitioners of urban planning are concerned with research and analysis, strategic thinking, architecture, urban design, public consultation, policy recommendations, implementation and management. Enforcement methodologies include governmental zoning, planning permissions and building codes, as well as private easements and restrictive covenants. These are the principles of the town planning. For example, if we are going to plan a town or plan a city, or we are going to development of a city, then we have to follow some of the principles, some of the steps, some of the key measures we must have to look after before going into detail. So these are the principle of the town planning, which is zoning, green belt, housing requirements, public buildings, recreation centers, road system and transport facilities in the particular city. The first is the zoning. The town should be divided into suitable zones such as commercial zone, industrial zone, residential zone, etc. And suitable rules and regulations should be formed for the development of each zone. Second is the green belt. Green belt is non-development zone on the periphery of the town. It prevents the haphazard sprawl of the town, restricting its size. Third is housing. Housing has to be carefully studied and designed to suit the local population. Care should be taken to see that there is no development of slums, since it would be responsible for degrading the life of the citizens. Public buildings. Public buildings should be well grouped and distributed throughout the town. Unnecessary concentration of public buildings should be avoided. Factors such as parking facilities, road widths have to be taken into consideration while allocating the space for public buildings. Recreational centers. Recreation centers have to be given importance while designing a town. They are necessary for the recreational activities of the general public. They include parks for walking and cycling, amusement parks, etc. Then some other recreational buildings may also be created. Road system. Road network hierarchy is very, very important. The efficiency of any town is measured by the layout of its roads. A nicely designed road system puts a great impression in the minds of people, especially the visitor to the town.
And last is the transport facilities. The town should be provided with suitable transport facilities so that there is a minimum loss of time from place of work to the place of residence. Efficiency in transport facilities includes both public and private network. Necessity of town planning. The necessity of town planning can very well be appreciated by mentioning the evil situation which a town has to face in the absence of town planning. Means if there are defective practices, then the necessity of town planning can be shown. The first is the defective road system resulting in the formation of narrow streets and lanes. The development of the slum and squatter settlements within the city. Haphazard location of the industries, when industries are being located within the periphery, must have been located within the periphery or outside the periphery of the city. But in some cases it may be located inside the city, or the development is such that so that the industry is nearby the residential area, which is not good as per the building bylaws also. Then heavy traffic congestion during the working hours of a day. If the road network is not sufficient, it will lead to heavy traffic congestion. Traffic congestion is linked to a lot of other problems. Then inadequate open spaces for parks and playgrounds resulting in unhealthy living conditions. So adequate open spaces must be there. Then lack of essential amenities such as electricity, water supply and drainage is there. So if planning has not been done properly, effectively, efficiently, then it may lack to the lack of problems and various problems may be arised within the city. Noisy atmosphere disturbing the peace of the city dwellers. Then uncontrolled development of the town. Means if planning is not there, then the growth may be whether it is a horizontal growth or whether it is a vertical growth of a town. But that may be uncontrolled growth if planning is not there. Then unhealthy living conditions are also there within the city. So these are the various what we can say, these are the various conditions, or these are the various parameters which are responsible for the necessary provision of town planning for any city or any town within the city. Now, origin of town and growth of town. Historically, the practice of urban planning and applying some level of control to the design to communities dates back at least as far as the 3rd millennium before Christ. And the urban designs of the Mesopotamians, Minoans and Egyptians. Grid-like or orthogonal urban plans were first used for structuring cities in the 8th century before Christ by the ancient Greeks and the Roman Empire, then dramatically expanded city planning, predominantly for military defense but also for public convenience, developing the city center. During the Middle Ages, some European cities retained the Roman city center idea of planning, while others developed more organically, sometimes with little to no system of planning in the place. During the Industrial Revolution, urban centers of the new industries grew at the unprecedented rate, albeit very often with a complete lack of planning for the living and working environments of the poorer classes. By the end of the 19th century, though, urban planners and theorists had begun to realize that this should change. These are the things which must be gone through. These are the points that growth of the town. So town is dynamic. Causes of growth. What are the different causes of growth? These may be listed as population, enhancement of transportation facilities, waterways and airways adoption in a town. Vertical development means high-rise buildings may be constructed in a particular town or city, which leads to the vertical development in a particular city. Urban life opportunities, amenities of leisure, convenience, recreation, employment, career, education and research. These are the various reasons why the growth occurs in a particular town. Stages in growth of town. So Patrick Gates has says that primary, secondary, and tertiary. These are the particular stages, and Lewis Mumford has said that O polis, single unit, agriculture, polis means self-contained commerce and industries, metropolis, metro means high density, high facility, then megapolis means overgrown, initial collapse, then tyrant polis, further decay in trade, commerce, power, and necropolis, that is necrosis, complete breakdown, famine, and diseases. So these are the stages in the growth of the town. Various stages are there. Primary means agricultural necessity, secondary center of exchange of money, marketing town are there, and the tertiary is the residential, educational, and the recreational. So these are the stages in the growth of the town. Classification of growth of town. According to the origin, the classification can be natural, concentric spread, satellite town, ribbon development, scattered growth, plant. And according to the direction, horizontal, vertical, these are there. Horizontal means the spread is going on the land, and the land use has been taking place. And vertical rise means high-rise buildings are being constructed or developed in a particular region. So these are the classification of the growth of a town. Now comes to the land use. Land use is very predominant term which is used in the development of a town. Land use involves the management and modification of natural environment or wilderness into built environments such as settlements and semi-natural habitats such as arable fields, pastures, and managed woods. Land use by humans has a long history, first emerging more than 10,000 years ago. It has been defined as the total of arrangements, activities, and inputs that people undertake in a certain land cover type. So this is one type of existing land use map. Whatever be is available and how the people will utilize it depending upon the growth of the population in a particular city, it also being considered along with the land use maps which are available, because the type of land, the type of resources available, all have to be considered in the development of a particular town. So land use has its own importance. Types of land uses, as it can be classified as recreational, transport, agriculture, residential, and commercial as well. So these are the availability of a particular land type or land zone. And now if these lands as per the availability are classified in the different zones, or it has been classified in the different regions or areas within a city, that leads to the development of one more technical term which now it will be introduced, that is known as the zoning. So now principles and objectives of zoning. The principles of zoning include the following elements which are given importance while zoning in an area: concentric growth, boundary, existing towns, flexibility, and new towns. Basically, urban zones fall into one of the five major categories: residential, mixed residential and commercial, then commercial, industrial, and spatial. That is, example of it is power plants, sport complexes, airports, shopping malls, etc. Objectives of zoning. Zoning is the way the government controls the physical development of land and the kinds of use to each individual property may be put. Zoning laws typically specify the area in which residential, industrial, recreational, or commercial activities may take place. The objects or purpose of zoning are as follows, which are also important as per the GTU exam perspectives. The town planner gets ample opportunities for designing the future growth and development of town. Zoning serves as a main tool to the town planner to achieve his goal. Zoning affords proper coordination of various public amenities such as transport facilities, water supply, drainage, electric power, etc. Zoning proves to be an effective instrument in case of any review or modification in order to make town planning scheme more effective and successful. What are the various advantages of zoning? So various advantages of zoning are there, that is danger from fire, future development, modification, revision of plan, provision of general amenities, health of community, population distribution, horizontal and vertical growth, public utility services. These are the various advantages of the zoning. Now comes the low cost housing. How a particular house can be built with a particular low cost. That is, it also comes under the government scheme. Various government schemes have been launched for this particular domain, under this particular domain. Low cost housing is a new concept which deals with effective budgeting and following of techniques which help in reducing the cost construction through the use of locally available materials along with improved skills and technology without sacrificing the strength, performance and life of the structure. There is a huge misconception that low cost housing is suitable for only substandard works and they are constructed by utilizing cheap building materials of low quality, but it is actually a misconception only. The fact is that low cost housing is done by proper management of the resources. All the resources which are being available, whether it is materials, machineries, manpower or different other resources are there, those are being utilized in such a way in which the cost is to be minimized. That is the principal objective. Economy is also achieved by postponing finishing works or implementing them in phases. Building cost. The building construction cost can be divided into two parts, namely building material cost or the labor cost. Now in low cost housing, building material cost is less because locally available materials are used and also the labor cost can be reduced by properly making the time schedule of the work. Cost of reduction is achieved by selection of more efficient material or by an improved design. Areas from where cost can be reduced. Various areas, thrust areas are there. Reduce plinth area by using the thinner wall. Use locally available material in an innovative form. Use energy efficiency material which consume less energy. Use environmentally friendly materials which are suitable for conventional building components. Various examples are being available. Pre-plan every component of the house and rationalize the design procedure for reducing the size of the component in the building. By planning each and every component of a house, the wastage of material due to demolition of the unplanned component of the house can be avoided. Each component of the building shall be checked whether if it's necessary. If it is not necessary, then that component should not be used. So these are the various components which are to be used. These are the various points which are related to the low cost housing, how the cost can be reduced. And now we shall go through the different type of slums and what we mean by the slum and why it is very much important. The slum is a squalid and overcrowded urban street or district inhabited by very poor people. A slum is a residential area with substandard housing that is poorly serviced or overcrowded and therefore unhealthy, unsafe and socially undesirable. Slum is a menace to health, safety, mortality and general welfare of inhabitants. As per National Act, slum is predominantly residential area where the dwelling which by reason of the dilapidation, overcrowding, faulty arrangement of design, lack of ventilation, light, sanitary facilities or any combination of these factors are detrimental to safety, health and morals. What are the causes of slum? So there are a number of causes of slums such as decentralization, economic condition, education, improper use of land, industrialization, lack of zoning, migrants, powers of local authorities, lack of repair and maintenance, poverty, absence of housing facility, migration, rapid rise in population, careless and neglect of house owner, high rental rate, lack of cheap transport system, attraction of the city, unplanned growth of city and negligence of the government. These are the various causes which promote the development of slum in a particular area. or a particular city. What are the characteristics of the slum? Various properties or characteristics of slum are listed, such as lack of basic services, overcrowding and high density, unhealthy living conditions, poverty and social exclusion, minimum settlement size, appearance, fire hazard, health and sanitation, income criteria, and social isolation is also there. The five major ingredients of the slum areas as per the Act 1956 to facilitate inclusive growth and slum-free cities means this particular act says that there must be improvements and clearance in a city, and a city must be slum-free to provide assured service to the tenure, basic amenities, and affordable housing for slum dwellers, to assign a legal document of entitlement to every landless person in a slum area entitled to a dwelling space, to give mortgageable rights to allottees of dwelling space. However, tradability of dwelling space limited to the government or the slum collectives, to provide compensation for acquisition of land wherever necessary in the form of concessional building. Now, how the slum can be prevented? So there are two things, that slum clearance is one of the options, that government schemes must be there so that slums may be cleared, and in place of some alternatives can be developed. And the second is prevention of the slum formation. For example, if in a particular area slum development is in the initial stage, so that has to be stopped or that can be prevented with putting up some substitute or alternative method. Slum clearance is the complete removal improvement method, and prevention of slum formation means providing the cheap housing, construction of building, facility to labor by honor must be given, social education must be given, because the slum may lead to some social isolation as well, and health aspects are, and hygiene is also one of the factor that will not be there in the slum, and maintenance and repair. So these are a few examples: Dharavi slum Mumbai, Nochikuppam slum Chennai, Basanti slum Kolkata. These are a few examples, and Parivartan slum in the Ahmedabad. Now we shall go through the characteristics of the town planning. What are the different characteristics of the town planning? Why the town planning has its own importance since ages, since years, since the ancient time, since the middle ages, and in the recent development also the town planning has its own importance. So creating new towns and or villages, balancing community, business, and environmental needs, helping to inform and direct local and national policy, safeguarding green and other public spaces, assessing planning applications, attracting investment and industry to an area, protecting buildings of historical and architectural merit importance, ensuring that land suitable for development is readily available, developing programs of land reclamation, assessing the effects of proposals on the environment and local community, inspection, monitoring and enforcement action, negotiating and working with professionals such as developers, surveyors and architects, encouraging education and awareness, providing advice on how and when to seek planning permissions, undertaking specialist research, advising on issues related to transport, traffic and infrastructure, advising on neighborhood planning issues. So these are a few characteristics or the points which have to be looked into wherever the town planning or development of a town is being looked into. Now what do we understand by the FSI or floor space index, which is also known as the floor area ratio? It is actually a ratio between the area of a covered floor, means built up areas, to the area of that plot or land on which a building stands. There is given one example, and in that particular, with this example, it has been shown how the floor space index means the ratio between the area of a covered floor to the area of the plot that is being calculated. So these are a few references from where the data have been taken. Also Wikipedia, web sources and internet has been referred for collecting the resources, and I would like to thank you all Keep yourself at home, stay safe, stay healthy, and this is the only way to fight with the COVID-19 corona. And thank you very much for all the viewers for listening with that much utmost sincerity and clarity. Thank you very much. Thank you.